Welcome back to another episode of Year of the Full Moon. We're on episode 22 now, and don't worry, we're almost done.
This is taking...
I think you always talk about how it just takes so long.
But like honestly,
every
like
time
when did we start doing this? Was that the beginning of this year?
At the end of 2019.
So like, it is getting close to a year of working on this.
And it's good that we're talking about like a retrospective right now of like, when we started, because this is the final movie. Not documentary, not compilations.
Okay.
The final movie. And it is Blade the Iron Cross. It actually came out in 2020, the actual year of the full moon. We planned that. But yeah, the Blade the Iron Cross is a spin-off of the main Puppet Master series that just came out. It just has
Blade in it.
Yeah, it just has Blade. You see like some of the other puppets. You see Six Shooter and like Tumbler and Pinhead in the Puppet Master trunk. But they do not like reanimate. It's just Blade. And it takes place in the original continuity, and it pretty much is like an epilogue to the XXII trilogy.
Definitely more money was put into the budget compared to the last few.
It looks good. Like the cinematography is great.
Yeah, we're like, I'm not saying it's like a phenomenal movie, because the plot was kind of like a average for them. Like, kind of, this is kind of what a lot of their plots are. But, like, you could tell, like, the video, like, the videography and stuff was good.
Yeah, it looks like it's shot was, like, a good camera, not, like, a cheap one that all the others look like. It's definitely the best Puppet Master since, like, retro Puppet Master. That Full Moon made, so not counting the Limitless Strike that saved the franchise. But just counting from the actual one Full Moon makes, it's better than the XXII trilogy. But it does feel kind of like an extension of it, just done better.
It's a weird little, like... It follows that. It is like the epilogue to it, but it's shot so, and like location wise, it was shot better too.
It doesn't have the same vibe as the other one, because it does feel higher budget.
Yeah, so it definitely feels different than the XXII trilogy, but at the same time it is a part of it. I guess you can't call it the XXII trilogy at that point. Yeah. So I guess it is like that.
Yeah, because
like the trilogy, and then there's a little epilogue.
Yeah, it's like a spin-off of the XXII trilogy, not like the whole Puppet Master in general.
Because I think they realized they kind of had to do something to kind of... I mean, they really didn't do anything by the end of this that helped the continuity of the first
and
movie.
I think we'll get to that at the end, because I think they did that on purpose.
Well, yeah.
But with this movie, they continue Dr. Ivanov, with the short, like, mystical, like... doctor that was helping the Allies in the last one we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Who pops up and everything. His daughter, who was in the last movie, also has, like, some psychic powers like him. She is now, like, the new Puppet Master. No, they have an offhand comment of how he went back to Russia to study something.
Because I was going to say, I didn't think he died.
Yeah, so he's still alive. They're not going to kill off this guy that they always bring out and everything. But his daughter, played by the exact same actress,
which
shows up again.
Because they don't always do that.
Yeah, she's a new Puppet Master, but she like has a spiritual connection to Blade and only revives him. And she uses him to help like figure out these visions he's having of people dying. She works for the newspaper now, so she like reports on the news before it actually happens. So she goes out and finds the dead body and stuff like that. And
at the beginning it was weird. She like shows up to a crime scene where a dude, like, it was one of the Nazi dudes that they got killed in like the beginning. And she's at the crime scene, like, reporting and getting pictures taken. And it's like...
That hasn't been reported yet.
Yeah, like, and then the cops show up, and they're not so happy. And then, like, oh, she knows the detective, so it's all okay now. And he's
like, come on,
it's like, this is a crime... This dude's dead, and you're just letting these people walk all over the crime scene.
And they still let him take photos.
Yeah, it was really weird.
But, anyway, it was kind of done, like, in a funny way. But anyways... all those killings that are happening that she's reporting on, like this connection she has, is from a bunch of Nazis working in America again.
So, okay, one thing I thought was cool, that they bring up the Silver Legion. Only one guy actually has a shirt with a big L right here. Yeah. And the L was the Silver Legion, which was one of Nazi-related American parties during the time. So it's like, okay, they did some research.
They did
and
do some research.
I mean,
like that.
I don't know why he's walking around with a big L on his shirt. Only one guy is, and he's the guy that gets killed at the very beginning.
Kind of weird, but I like that. It's a good reference to history.
It was a good reference in that they didn't have to, because in the Axis, they had guys walking around the United States in like full Nazi regalia, and it was just like,
they didn't do that in this one.
They didn't do that. They just kind of had Americans working with like one or two Nazis. And
then like this Nazi party that's in America, they're working off the old notes and like formulas created by Dr. Hess, who is a throwback to Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, who worked for the Nazis, like trying to develop the formula with Toulon, but then like he got sympathetic to Toulon and helps him, but after he dies, he's the one put in the Blade puppet. So it's a nice connection to the actual Blade for this.
Yeah, they just name dropped it like one time.
Yeah, it was a name drop, but I like that connection. It means they're actually trying to establish the lore. So anyways, it's kind of along the lines of an Axis trilogy movie, but I think it's just done better.
I would say the same plot, almost.
Yeah.
It almost
there's zombies in this, too.
Oh, yeah, randomly there's zombies.
When the guy was at Dr. Hess's nose is trying to like reanimate stuff, he creates zombies. But anyways, with these characters, I think it's done very well. It's done better than the Axis trilogy. The one thing that's kind of lacking is, like, Blade doesn't move around too much.
There's a lot of throwing him, and he's just laying there. It's almost like a rag doll.
There's stuff that I think might have been stop motion for, like, a couple scenes.
There was one or two, I think.
And then there's another scene where I think they put a guy in a Blade suit at a green screen and then just, like, green screened him smaller and into the movie.
Yeah.
But, you know, honestly, even though the Blade wasn't too, like, animate, and the kills weren't amazing. There was less CGI, there was some, but the kills weren't amazing. But there were times like where Blade has like the two things coming out of his eyes that like are piercing.
A guy like picked him up,
yeah,
and
like
then
blades,
it shoots out his like hands. And
that's never happened before. That was something new to do with Blade.
It was pretty cool.
That. The best kill though, what would you say your favorite kill from the movie is?
I mean, when he's like cuts a dude's head off, you don't see most of it, but you kind of see it like go in, and then it opens up and blood's coming out.
It was a pretty bloody kill.
I mean, it was kind of weird. Like there was parts of it that weren't like you could tell they just shoved the knife right here, and it was just kind of like doing that.
Jiggled the puppet a bit so it looks like it's cutting. But you saw blood splurting out when he did
but
it.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite.
That was my favorite up until the end. I guess you consider this a kill, where the main like Nazi new scientist. He like destroys Blade, but then like the essence of Blade goes inside of him.
Yeah, I'm not 110% clear on
what happened. I don't know, but Blade was covered in blood.
He like burns Blade and then puts him on a thing and just takes a big like hammer and just starts coming down
until he's just like
dust, which was kind of weird. And then he's like, I killed him, ha 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 ha. It's like Mandark laugh, and then like all of a sudden it's just like a knife's coming out of him, and then like it cuts a hole, and then pokes his head out.
He's covered in blood. It was.
And then
really
like
cool
he goes, picks up his hat, and he's bloody, puts a hat on, and it,
totally fine.
And then he's clean, and it's like, okay, cool.
All right, kind of odd.
Not sure what happened there, but
the only other thing I would say of note is that well, I'll say two things. One, they have a Nazi character in it who kind of looks like the main like Nazi assassin from the Ron Perlman, Guillermo del Toro, Hellboy movie. It was that weird like mask, but he was pretty cool. And the only other thing is, I'd say the movie ends with it kind of assuming that Blade is going to go on adventures with like the main girl and like the main guy who was a detective that we talked about, and that he's going to like continue helping them out to defeat the Nazis.
Yeah, detective was funny. There's like a point where he's like going in this tunnel, and then a zombie comes out of nowhere and attacks him, and he has the most like stoic face the entire time. The zombie's like trying to get him on top of him, and he's just like moves some rebar, hits a zombie, and then just shoots him in the head. And it was like
completely cool and collected.
It was just like it wasn't even cool and collected. It was just like, I see this every day. This is normal for me. It was kind of entertaining.
It was entertaining. They do kind of so they don't like end it so it picks up where Puppet Master begins. It implies that more movies will come.
Definitely.
I hope so. Maybe we'll have a Blade trilogy. Who knows? This movie just came out this year, so it could do well enough.
So you might have two more by the end of next year.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind is, well, first off, finally my shirt is like relevant. I've been wearing these every episode, and now finally we watch Blade the Iron Cross.
Took long enough.
But one thing I'll say is that, as like you could say, it was over on this side. It was part of the Deadly 10 initiative, which is where they were trying to make 10 movies.
Sounds like the Avengers initiative.
They're trying to make like 10 movies. Was in 1 year, and they like were live streaming all of the process of it.
How many movies did they end up making?
There was Ouija's, Necropolis.
Because with the whole
Blade,
like COVID thing,
another one,
it hindered
Famalian.
Because like Sean was telling me earlier, they were on schedule.
They were
up until like COVID hit, and then
everything kind of got shut down a bit. So like some classic ones like Subspecies 5 and Bride of the Head of the Family haven't even began filming yet.
But they got Corona zombies.
They did, which wasn't relevant to Deadly 10.
Yeah.
They still put that out. That's another review. If someone comments that they want us to review Corona zombies, we will do it.
I'm going to comment.
No one's going to do that.
I'm just going to comment so we do. I haven't seen it, so it looks retarded.
Oh, it kind of... We won't talk about it anymore. You got to comment and say you want to see Corona zombies reviewed.
Please do.
So, I'll talk about the future of Puppet Master, because this is the last Puppet Master movie before we go into documentaries. Well, actually, kind of lack thereof, honestly. As of right now, because Blade the Iron Cross just came out, there has been no new plans for a Puppet Master movie announced, because this movie just came out. We just found out when this was filmed is when they released it on DVD. So.
Yeah, we actually got like the streaming service to watch it, and then Sean gets an email right after we watched it saying, "Hey, you could buy the DVD now."
And I'm going to buy it anyways for the collection, but...
I want to watch some of their movies on their streaming service, so it works out.
For the future of Puppet Master, there is no official plans for another Puppet Master movie.
You can't say it looks bleak, because...
This just came out. I think it looks good.
They'll be like, oh, we need more money, let's make another Puppet Master. Like, this is our... we get money, actually, from this.
Yeah, since... this is better than the Axis trilogy, and we got 3 movies in the Axis trilogy. I don't see how this wouldn't get a future for it. The only thing I will say, though, is that's a little sad, is there was going to be a sequel to Puppet Master The Limitless Reich, I found out, called Puppet Master Arians Ahoy.
I didn't know.
And it would have been a prequel, actually.
Arians Ahoy!
The disappointing thing is, it was being developed by Fangoria and Cinestate, but due to the scandal with Cinestate, Fangoria cut ties with them, and all plans for the movie have been put on hold indefinitely. Possibly it will never be picked up again. So there's a good chance we might not see another movie in that universe. Most likely a sequel in this Full Moon universe to Blade. It was a good movie. It deserves a sequel. That's all.
It deserves a sequel, especially since I know it's gonna get one. Just so it could be a year or two, but they're gonna get one because that's how
Puppet Master works.
That's how they kind of roll. Like if you ever have their streaming service, every one of their movies has a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4 to it.
Yeah, or like Puppet Master where you get like 13.
So like
you beat Friday the 13th.
God, that still hasn't happened.
Yep.
That's disappointing.
What we'll do for next episode, we'll be talking about documentaries, bonus discs, and also kind of like killer compilation. That's it for Blade the Iron Cross. I give it 2 thumbs up for a Full Moon Puppet Master movie because it's the best movie since
it's watchable. I'd watch it again. So yeah. Usually with a lot of these movies, it's like I'd watch it again, but it wasn't great, or just no.
No, just no.
There's been a few like that. So.
But what I'll say, tune in 2 weeks where we'll review When Puppets and Dolls Attack.